guys, I just wanted to make a quick video and show you how I seal my stencils if the background is stained rather than painted. I got the background, this is actually briar smoke, but it doesn't matter what color the stain is. So I already have my stencil placed on this board. This vinyl is 631, and that's just because the board isn't super rough. If you have like really rough wood like barnwood, you might want to use 651 just to make sure that it's extra adhesive. If I do use 651, I seal the wood first. It helps keep splinters of wood from getting pulled up with the vinyl. And so I'll either spray on some polyacrylic or I'll brush a coat on before I do it and then let it dry good, then put down the stencil. But this is not a super rough board. So I did not seal it, I just stained it. I let the stain dry. The oil-based stains, you want to make sure they dry well, just so that the layers of paint and sealer and everything that you're doing will stick to it well. What I do is I put down my stencil just like any other sign I was going to do onto the board, and then I take some polyacrylic in a can like this and I brush on I kind of start out thick just so that it's getting in all of the little cracks and crevices and go in all directions and get a nice layer on it. And then before I leave it to dry, I come back through and I get it all in the direction of the grain. You want to make sure that every layer you do stays in the direction of the grain so that it's less noticeable throughout the piece. It blends in with the wood and it kind of makes more sense. And the more you brush it, it starts to get a little bit drier and seems to kind of thin out a little bit. And if you have too much, I mean, you could dab your brush off on the edge of your can or something and try to bring some up. But I just get it rubbed in really good. And I'm actually kind of applying some pressure because the goal here is to push as much of it underneath the edges of that stencil as you can so that it seals it really well and then the paint doesn't bleed through. So I'm gonna let this dry, and it really doesn't take very long. I mean, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we will come back and do the next step. Okay, so that layer of polyacrylic is all dry now. So what I do next is I have these little squares all cut out. This is 320 grit sandpaper. But I like to sand it down a little bit for two reasons. One, it roughs up that polyacrylic to make sure that it takes paint okay. But two, I'm always a little bit paranoid that I'm gonna have it on a little bit too thick. And when I pull the vinyl off, it's gonna pull all the paint off with it. And so by sanding the letters just a little bit, I'm breaking up the surface of the edge of the stencil there so that the polyacrylic layer there isn't adhered to the stencil anymore. And it makes it so it pulls up nice and clean without any risk of peeling up the letters. I just get the sandpaper into the letters. I don't sand it a lot. I just run the sandpaper over the top just a little, just to kind of rough up that polyacrylic and break up the seal of it to the top of the stencil. Okay, so that's really all you have to do. Now I'm just gonna brush it good to make sure to get all of that dusty stuff off. Okay, so now it's sealed. We get to move on to the paint. So I use Waverly chalk paints. I'm just using white for this sign, and I use these wide, flat artist brushes. I just feel like the paint goes on a lot smoother than with a normal paintbrush. And now that it's sealed, I don't have to be as careful with it. So I'm just gonna brush the paint on. Okay, so I do think it's gonna need a second coat. I'm gonna let this one dry and then we'll put another coat on it. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the second coat here. this one dry too, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, this is all dry now, so we could pull the stencil off and see what it looks like. Okay, and that's the sign. There's not a single bleed. It looks perfect. So that is how I seal my stencils when there's a stained background. Thanks for watching. There's something better I should say?
Goodbye.